Hello, it's Jamie Sparling here. I am the head instructor at Affinity Martial Arts and Wellness, Wausau, Wisconsin, as well as a green roomer for over 5 years. Today on In the Dojo, I have a special guest and a special treat for you. This man has rise to different occasions in his martial arts training, and I've watched him over the years. He is like a magician in several different martial arts. The one we're going to talk about mostly today is going to be Pencak Silat Mendemuda, which is just fun to say, and I mean that by no disrespect, but it is the most phenomenal system that I've ever seen. Right now, at this time period, I'm going to bring in Guro Peter Kwong from MKG North in Minneapolis. Guro Peter, how are you?
Good. JB, nice to see you.
Yeah, nice to see you. I really appreciate you being here. And
Thanks for having me here. I'm really excited too, myself.
I appreciate that. You are involved in so many different interesting things right now that I hadn't seen you for a while, and I was watching social media and I thought to myself, this is exactly who I need for the third episode of In the Dojo, and it means a lot that you're here. I just want to say that honestly, okay?
It's an honor myself. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Great. Could you tell me a little bit about MKG North and look in our world, everybody knows what MKG is, but
Yes,
out there in the new network and in different areas, not so much. Could you tell us a little bit about it?
sure. Well, basically, MKG North is in Moundsview, Minnesota, which is a suburb of St. Paul. But I kind of moved different locations, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was in New Brighton and moved to Fridley. Now we are at Moundsview. Started 2013, and it was just basically out of New Brighton Community Center. Just a couple
Mm-hmm.
of days a week. Uh, uh, Not a lot of program, just a couple of phase one classes uh, and a Silat class here and there. That was about it. And then I got a chance to move to a studio in Fridley because a student of mine owned a shop. He's into construction and he had extra space. And I go, he said, "Would you like to share this?" I said, "Sure." It was pretty small, about 1,000 square feet. But we ran that for a couple years, and then he kind of went out of business, and so we were kind of kicked out. And so I started looking around, and I found uh, a really pretty decent space in Moundsview. It's like a little strip mall right next to Domino Pizza and
Beautiful.
Moundsview School District. And, it was a laundromat and all that's there. And so I said, I'm going to give it a go. Uh, and it was quite, to me, it's pretty expensive. It was a couple of $1,000s, right?
Yes, sir.
And so I said, let's see if we can make it work. And so far so good.
It's working.
Uh, yep. And we got there, and we got more students, and then the space next to us kind of opened up. And
Hmm.
I said, I'm gonna get that too. So right now we have 4,000 square feet.
Outstanding.
Um, yep, and a lot of times we have both mats going at once. Both sides are going.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm pretty happy with it. A lot of traffic. I mean, before when we were in the Fridley area, we didn't. There was hardly any traffic at all. Now there's
Yeah.
lots of traffic, walk in, as well as car traffic. So that's where we kind of came from 2013 till now, and we're expanding. We're going there.
That is excellent because you deserve to, and you teach arts that uh, I'm going to use the word rare. In this world, day and age, not necessarily anything is rare. You have access to it if you look for it. But back in the day,
Yeah.
very, very rare. I remember I was telling you earlier about the first time that I saw Herman Sawanda in the martial arts magazine. And you remember, as Avi does as well, that you used to get the magazines so that you could learn a technique, right, in 7 easy pictures, right? And I'll never forget seeing Pa Herman Sawanda do some Harimau Silat. And I took it, purchased the magazine, and I took it to my instructor, Steve Fristo, and I opened it up and I was just like, well, this here, like nobody can do that. And Steve looked at it and then he said, he can. And I thought, huh. Then lo and behold, we went to go see him. And he could do it while laughing. I mean, do you think you can get out? You cannot, right? And he would laugh, and it was so boisterous and wonderful. You had a lot of time with Pa Herman, didn't you, sir?
I did. I The first time I saw him, it was at the Inosano Silat camp.
Really?
And a friend of mine, Tyrone Bellamy, he's one of my students and one of Rick's students too. And he goes, "Hey, Pa's gonna be at the Inosano Academy. Would you like to go?" Because he went to it the year before. And I said, "Yeah, you betcha." Because I think I saw the same magazine as you did.
Mm-hmm.
So went over there, and I thought, and I at that time I knew quite a few different martial arts. I started out, with karate.
Sir.
A couple of years of Shorin-ryu karate, real hard style, and it was very hard. Lots of bruises, right? And I said, this is not for me, right? And so I started searching around and found Kempo system. I did about 10 years of Kempo, liked it. Then I kind of started looking around, got into Tai Chi, Northern Shaolin a little bit, boxing.
Mm-hmm.
But as soon as I saw this, the Silat, I was hooked. I was hooked.
Yes, sir.
And then I met, Rick Fay, and then, man, the rest is history, like as they say. It's a hook, line, and sinker, basically, when I saw that. And I said, I want to do what this guy is doing right now.
Yes,
and
sir.
So I started traveling, trying to, wherever he goes, I'm trying to find him. And then I invited him to Minnesota, 1997. So he did a seminar for us, 97, 98, 99. Then he passed away 2000, March of 2000. So I still miss him every day, But Silat, it's where it's at for me,
Yeah. Could you tell us a little bit about Silat and the different styles?
Sure. Yeah. So I'll give you a little bit of the history of what Silat is for the people that don't really know what Silat is. A lot of times we call it Penchak Silat. So Penchak is originally from Java, and it refers to the martial arts of that region. So Penchak, without the K, is Penka. So Penka is the original spelling found in the Sunda language. The K was later added because of the Bahasa Indonesian is the national language of that country. So, and the meaning of the word Penka is the beauty of the martial arts or the movement of the martial art. And then the Jurus are basically they're predetermined hand and feet motions that describe a series of techniques. You have Kembangan, which is a flower in Indonesia.
Yes,
Bunga,
sir.
which is a flower in Malaysia. Ibing, which is a flower in Java. And all these terms are to describe movements. They're just beautiful movements, right? In the Philippines, they have a dance called Saya. Now the Silat part is the fighting part. It is a generic name for Southeast Asian martial arts of the Malay world. The word Silat is the application of the movements in the actual fight. Okay, and
Okay.
that's called buah. So buah is the fruit of Indonesia, and whereas bunga is the flower part. So that's why you got to have both in order to survive. So there's no
Mm-hmm.
penchak and vice versa. And so what Pot had told me about in West Java, where he's from, that the application of the penchak is called mayenpo. Mayen is to play, po is to forget. So what in the past they would use it as a challenge matches, usually fight to the death or to maim, you know. And so obviously later it was outlaw, but so that's kind of how everything kind of evolved. And then so the first actual recorded formalized combative systems were being practiced in the area of Sumatra and the Malay Peninsula in about
Yes.
the 6th century AD. And then archaeological evidence kind of shows that it was indeed created in Sumatra, and it flourished and it spread to Java, uh, southern Philippines, Malaysia, Singapore. It kind of spread after that, you know. So you know, Java was an important center, you know, of education and religion, particularly Hinduism and Buddhism, and it basically attracted monks and educated men from various parts of Southeast Asia. And then, so the Southeast Asia was always been an important area for traders from India and China. And so people of these two lands, they kind of congregated around that area. So it's kind of like the mecca of, you know, different types of martial arts, you know. So that's kind of like, the cultural center is where they trade information, they trade culture, they trade martial arts, and so it's very rich in that particular area, you know. So that's how everything kind of came about, and then once it spread, then you know, then started coming to the United States from people like, you know, Eddie Joffrey, which we talked about previously, Herman Sawanda, and Guru Dan. Basically, he is one of the instructors of Guru Dan, and there's lots of good stories that I can tell about that too. But so that's where it kind of came about.
That's great. I remember Guru Renassano saying one time, well, I'm sure he said it more than once, but I caught it that time,
Mm-hmm.
which was the root of the Malay word was many abode.
Yep, yep,
Yeah. So,
any
like
abode.
I said,
Exactly.
literally a melting pot, a
Yes,
melting pot of culture, therefore martial art, language, religion, all of the.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. So basically, you know, for me, you know, my first love was actually Kali. That was before kind of Penchak Silat. So the Kali
Filipino
came
martial
first.
arts.
Yes, and then the Silat kind of came, and then, you know, and then later it's gonna be like Muay Thai, BJJ, uh,
Mhm.
Jeet Kune Do, all that kind of came. So now, for me, um, I kind of specialize in Silat, and I, you know, out of all my classes, 2 of the days are devoted to Silat. One
Beautiful.
day is Penchak Silat, which is basically Mandi Muda system, and the
Hmm.
other one is basically SSBD, Silat Sufyan Beladiri, from Master Mal Morni. So
Could you
if any of you've seen that his stuff, you know how great of a martial arts he is.
could
Martial
you
arts, yeah.
could you tell us a little bit about that system and the transition?
Yeah. So it's a family system. it was basically from Mom Winnie's grandfather, and
Mhm.
I believe great grandfather, and so that the system itself, it was it's not the same as Silat from other arts. It's mostly upper body. There are lower, down Harimau looking type motions down there, but a lot of stuff is self defense oriented. It's a blade art. It has a sword element to it, as well
Mhm.
as a staff and Tekpi, which is like they're the Sai
Mhm.
ones. So I met him about 10 years ago, basically watching YouTube videos,
Yes.
and I thought, wow, this guy is amazing. So I called up my friend. His name is Neil. He was a former pilot for Delta, and so I said, hey, I found this guy. He's really amazing. Let's go and check him out. And
Good
so
for you.
we started traveling, because I kind of got a deal because
Yeah.
he flies, right. So
Mhm.
so we went all over the place, all over the United States, and we actually traveled to Brunei and trained with him there
Amazing.
so yeah, it's a great journey. And
Sounds like it was really interesting that you could brought up Kali, which I also love, and all these things interweave, especially in our martial arts family. You don't know where one starts and the other one goes, right? It's a
yeah,
seamless transition sometime. But you just brought up the Kali being such a love, and then going to the SSBD, which is also a blade oriented system. That's really neat to see sometimes things go full circle.
yeah. So basically, he had stories about you know how he trained, his grandfather trained these um, villagers to defend themselves, right? So during the Japanese occupation,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of times they needed martial arts, uh, and has to be effective martial arts because it's against multiple opponents. So a lot
Yes.
of times uh, the training kind of basically, what you want to think about is when they train, it's about killing. It's about self defense at a point where they actually need it and need it right away. So
Warfare.
yeah, yeah. So but for Silat, for myself, I
Mm-hmm.
as a younger self, I used to have a mentality of kicking ass, right?
Yes,
I thought,
sir.
oh man, this is cool. This is be great for kicking ass. But as I get older, it's more about it's about health. It's about maintenance. Uh, Understand, maybe range of motion, flexibility, being able to get up and down laterally and vertically, right? And
Yes,
so
sir.
working on especially the Howie Mao motions, that'll get you there, right? So as you get older, you kind of have a different appreciation of what this art can bring you, right? Um, you know, you know, for me, I'm 66 years old,
Sir,
so
you look great.
thank you.
You're welcome,
Um,
sir.
so at this age, and what Guru Dan talks about too is you have to reassess your workout schedule. Maybe 3 years or 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
You have to understand where you're at and what you can do to help your body, right?
Body changes, sir. Body changes.
Body changes, right? So there's lots of positive effects from these workouts, for me, and I'm sure for my students too. Now I have kids from right now. There's a 3-year old that joined, up to 12 years old, right?
Wow.
And some of these kids are amazing. They're doing these ground kicks like you wouldn't believe. So it's
Wow.
great for them to move in the ground, um, and and teaching kids basically. gives them, the lots of benefits, right? Confidence, focus, discipline, physical fitness, self-defense, you know, um, values and life skills, fit all these things. And for me, I thoroughly enjoy it, and I do it 4 days a week. And what comes back is, these parents. There's one mother that came in, and she had tears coming down. And
Oh,
what you've done to my kids. There's two boys that she brought in. He goes, it's so amazing. It just turned them around. Because a lot of times they're very shy when they come in,
yes.
and they just spend a couple months with me, and they're leading classes, right? So because we have this, we call them leaders of the day, right? So I would say, okay, you're the head guy now, so you have to run the calisthenics, and you have to run, maybe punches, whatever, and they just love it, and this gives them
That's
a
great.
responsibility, you know. So yeah, it's helping me as much as it helped them, I guess.
Isn't that funny? I
Yeah,
mean, the way that we grow with our students, and sometimes maybe get something that we didn't get or whatever, but all that, it's just like a beautiful synergy when it's done right,
yes,
and we do it for the
right,
students based on what they need, and everybody's different.
exactly. And um for me, my mission statement is in line with Minnesota Kali Group, is to
Hmm.
create more functional and peaceful individuals for a more functional and peaceful world, right?
Beautiful.
um this world is violent enough. We don't have to teach more violence, right? And so, we just want them to be more functional, you know uh and it you know and I've always worked out, but there are students that are not like me. They come in, maybe they might be a little overweight, maybe they're not so assured of themselves, their self-esteem is not there. But this martial arts that I'm spreading helps them in more ways than a lot of things that I can think of, right? It helps students reach their full potential, self-confidence and all that, right? um, and health. So all that is what martial arts gave me, and that's what I'm trying to give back to these folks. Right?
That's beautiful, and I know you're doing it. I get to see sometimes on social media. I
Yep.
remember, I think I brought one student to come see you for one SSBD class years ago, pre-COVID, if I
Okay.
remember correctly. Uh, and
Ah,
your students are always so dialed in and nice at the same time, and
thank you.
that's something that always gets me. There's always a correlation with that yin and yang that's
Yep.
there, because the most badass person in the room generally has a smile and there's no fear, and they're hugging everybody. And
Exactly. And it that the phrase that Sifu Larry Hartzel always reminded me that
yes,
don't
sir.
mistake kindness for weakness, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and if you have the confidence, you don't need to show it, right?
No,
And
exactly.
yeah.
The other
So
day, I got to meet with a student, and almost like in the same way, we started with this big kind of graph, and we did a yin yang. And on one side, I said, "Well, you came here to learn cool stuff, right?" And there's a lot of things, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but I'm just saying you came here to learn cool stuff. Now let's go on the other side and write down what you got.
right.
And we ended up with so much. And as you know, when you ask that question, it's always usually it's individual, because people take things that they need.
Yes.
I was one of those people that unathletic and didn't like anything sports. And Steve Bristow just taught me like I was anybody else and gave me grace. And to this day, You know, sometimes I invite somebody to a seminar and they're like, wow, you're going to be around a lot of people that are really good. I'm like, I know, it's awesome. It's
Yeah.
awesome, you know, but sometimes it can be humbling at the same time. I mean, it goes both ways, right? We talked earlier about formable moments in martial arts. Sometimes they're humbling. Sometimes it's this beautiful story, like when you get to meet Pa Herman, or I couldn't imagine. I mean, to train with Malmorny like you do, and remember, like sometimes he does a certain move, and you're like, or at least for me, I got to see everything 10 times. You know what I mean? And then one day I feel like the martial art gods have opened up the crack of the door and I
Yeah.
can see what it was, you know, those formable moments. And it looks like that's what you're giving your students.
Well, basically, for me, we're living in a great time right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have all these wonderful martial artists, right? And they just pretty much hand you the stuff, right? This is what I offer you, and you just like a kid in a candy store. I'm just gobbling it up, and uh, and just appreciate every little nuggets that they give you, right? Um, you know, with Master Maul, we got I think we got pretty close, and you know the first time I met him, he's so humble. He says I was so nervous when I met you, Guru Peter. I said, what are you talking about? You're nervous that you meet me? So he goes, yeah, I heard about you. It's like it was completely opposite, like for me, right? And that's why we try not to put anybody on a pedestal,
Yeah.
you know, and they're great at what they do, but they're just human beings, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're doing the same thing you are. They're just they're just living their life, and they're training just like I am, and we're just trying to be better people. That's all, you know.
Yeah. When I got to meet Master Maul, called him Master Maul, and he was like, no, please, Maul. And the air of humility that comes off of that man
Yeah.
uh, is just wonderful, and you see that in high level martial artists, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You know, with Maul, he started training when he was like 13 years old, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so his grandfather, basically, because he had a he was not disciplined child, so his mom would send him to grandfather, and he would train him, right? And first time he got cut, and they were training with a live blade in the kitchen, right? So he slashes him across the cheek, and
Mm-hmm.
oh, oops, I mean, kind of like that, because obviously mom was not happy, but to to train with your grandfather live blade, just the thought of that, that
Yes,
kind of
sir.
boggles my mind.
I remember Guru Rick talking about in our day and age, and kind of building off what you were saying as well. It's like, you know, in the martial arts movies of the 80s and 90s, people had to go up the side of a mountain, and
Sure.
I mean, you used to have to go and rent a VHS tape, maybe even rewind it when you took it back. It was a different world, you know. And
Yes, yes. Now it's what, YouTube and TikTok. It's
it's all there.
yep, it it's all over, right? And so where we came from and now where we're at, yeah, that's amazing.
It is. It is absolutely amazing. Uh, Tell us a little bit more when you do your Penchak Salat class, and then you have another one that is separate for the SSVD. I
Right.
always think that's really, really cool because we
Yeah.
want them to be seamless, but at the same time, there needs to be a separation sometimes so students can see a pure thing.
Yes. So that's what I want to do is I want to keep those kind of separate. There
Mm-hmm.
is some crossover, but most of the techniques, um, it's how we approach it, right? So if somebody attacks you, these are basically sweeps out of the way from here. Their structure is always upright, knees bent, back
SSVD,
straight,
yes.
heels up. Okay, so um, and um, structure is where the whole thing, everything is right there now, right? And so a lot of times, it doesn't matter what comes at you, either a blade, it could be empty hand, it could be a karambit.
Mm-hmm.
You deal with it the same way, right? And whereas penchak silat, it's more evasive, it's more crouching type
Yes,
motion
sir.
a lot of times on the ground, uh, from the ground up, and then you're working a lot of different techniques where you end up tying them up, and that's what I like about what Mane Muda offers is um, you could tie them up in a pretzel and still could deal with opponents coming. And I
And
remember that one time, Pa Herman, we were at the studio at Rick Faye studio, and he did a seminar. Uh, he took me down first, and then somebody else. He stacked them up on top of me, and then somebody else threw another punch. He stacked them on top. There's three guys right there. I thought,
mm-hmm.
man, talk about incredible stuff, right? You know, what art can you find that's actually doing that? It's very rare to find something like that. So that's what
Absolutely.
kind of turned me on to that is to be able to work those motions to a position where that they can't do anything. It just
Yes.
fall up. So that's what kind of impressed me the most about that.
Such a beautiful art, and right now it's transitioning to the screen really well, which, hello, shouldn't be that surprising with a little bit of Kuntao kind of roots in different parts of the system. Uh, you are working on a film project, right?
Yeah, yeah. So so this particular film we shot a couple of years ago, right? And it's the name of it is Your Unspoken Words, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's about a maverick FBI agent who goes on a search for his neighbor's friend who has been kidnapped, and he finds out that there's more to the story of a gang world um, than there really is. Right? It's about gangs, about drugs, it's about money, a lot
Is
of
it
action. The purpose I think of that is aim to the aim of the this feature is to raise awareness about
yeah.
child trafficking,
Mm-hmm.
LGBTQ plus issues, gang violence, in especially in the Midwestern region of the United States, which
Yes,
a
sir.
lot of people don't know about. But
Mm-hmm.
and I was not aware of it until I started making this film. And by shedding light on these critical topics, the film seeks to inform and to engage viewers, fostering understanding and empathy
Beautiful.
within the community. And we spent quite a bit of time doing this film, and right now it's still in the editing phase of it, and hopefully it should be out shortly. Um, hopefully by the end of this year or beginning of next year.
What an important film on an important topic. We're actually watching a small portion, I believe, here of a preview. Human trafficking, disgusting, and it's all over the Midwest, and especially throughout Wisconsin, Minnesota
Yeah,
area. It's very.
and if you if you like martial arts, there's quite a bit of martial arts in it. So I did put some SSBD in. I put different types of silat in. There's some
Beautiful.
wrestling. There's some gunplay, uh, and I tell you, it was quite a
Right
project.
in.
Quite a project, right? Um, so when I was asked to do this, I said, "Well, I've never done this before, being a choreographer." Uh, but I said, I'll give it a shot.
Who better than you, though, with the CLOT and the different systems? That makes total sense to me. I
Yeah,
also understand sometimes being asked to do something I haven't done before and being like, hold the door, right? Makes total sense. But who better than you, Guru Peter?
I was extremely nervous, but once I got into it, I just basically, I'm in my office right now. I shut the door and I go, okay, what would if something this happens, what would I do? If this happened, what would I do? So I kind of started writing it out, so a whole script and everything,
Mm-hmm.
and then I would try it out on the cast. I go, okay, this is what you're gonna do. This is what you're gonna do, and it was a learning process,
I
but
bet.
it worked out really well. Um, you know, there's still a lot of editing to be done, and I'm going to be helping the
Sure.
director edit the fighting portion of the film.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah, we'll get there.
Well, it looks great thus far, and there's always more before something's put away, and it's polished enough. But that
Yeah,
made total sense to me. I can't wait to see it. You've always been just so fun to watch, and I can't move like you when it comes to the hottie mouth, but I like the fact that you're still able to teach me. And that's always one of those things. Like when Pa Herman was around, nobody moved like Pa Herman. But
right.
if he could teach me to do a part of that, then I had, as
Yeah.
long as I continued, I could do the next piece.
Well, the way I look at it is, yeah, nobody can move like Guru Dan, right?
Yes, sir.
Um, but or Bruce Lee for that matter,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, but we can train the attributes that kind of help you along the way, right? And so, a lot of
Mm-hmm.
stuff that we teach, especially the ground stuff, the Harimau stuff, the warm up drills, that helped a lot of people. That helped Sifu Rick Fei, because Sifu Rick had asked me to show him the basic warm ups, right? How to
Mm-hmm.
get up from a certain position, going into the chair position, going into your back, trying to come up with a sickle kick, things like that. And it's
Yeah.
him. And he every time I see him, he goes, "I swear your name every morning when I get up and when I work these drills." But he said it definitely helped him, So yeah, so even though you can't do the stuff, you can't, some of the complicated stuff, you can work the different motions that'll help you. It'll help you
Absolutely.
flexibility. It'll help you get up and down vertically, horizontally. And as you get older, like my mom is 104, right?
Wow.
And
How is your mother doing right now?
she's doing okay. Yeah,
Good.
she's doing okay. And I used to show her some of the stuff, like how to do the platform. How do you go female triangle? How to go male triangle? And she
Yes.
actually worked that, and so that helped her, because her mobility is not there, right? And I wish she was a little bit better on the ground because she falls down, she can't get up now. And
Yes.
I'm just hoping that if more people do this when they get older, should be able to get up and down by themselves, right? And that's I think for me, my goal is to help older folks to be able to move, more efficiently, basically.
God bless. I like to tell my students here in Wisconsin, and you're just right over in, the next state, that
Yep.
if you learn how to fall on the ground and you slip on the ice and you don't get horribly hurt, that
Yep.
might be your ninja battle for that month, by the
There
way,
you go.
because you're not going to end up in too many ninja battles unless you're looking for them. But the ice is everywhere,
Yep. Yep.
getting up, getting down off. The collie is known to help so much with the double stick,
Yep.
right? There's
The coordination. Yep.
the
Uh,
coordination, yes.
yep. We and right now there are a lot of studies on the brain effects, right? The brain
Mm-hmm.
health of the double stick, right? So that's what kind of um, the more I do the double stick, the more I appreciate what this is doing for my brain. Yeah, coordination is great, but then the effects of that in where the brain is actually rerouting one of the routes, right? And
Exactly.
and the
Exactly. There's a a gentleman that we did a class at a yoga studio. We called it Kali for Coordination. And I came up with the idea after coming home from MKG summer camp when Guru Rick had given us a speech about using the art to help people
Sure.
however you choose, however you see fit.
There you go.
And I knew that there was already programs that were doing it that were much more higher level, cognitive Kali. There's a whole vast science that's way above my pay grade, but we had a class and there's a gentleman who's been doing with it. I want to say now he's been with me for 7 years. Every Wednesday morning we do it online, and he was diagnosed with Parkinson's right before he started.
Oh,
And for quite a long time, that was the only time that his hand didn't shake is when he was holding two sticks for some reason. And
wow.
there's just little pieces, that we know because we get to watch Guru Asano and he's 88 years old, and how I don't know any other 88-year-old who moves like that. And of course, Guru has always been a specimen of a human being and worked hard and trained, but La Costa, right? Got to be good for the brain, and it's amazing that we're finding that we can get these connections later in life.
Well, there was a story that kind of came out too that there was a person that actually got in a car accident and didn't remember the wife's name or anything like that. But he trained. You remember
Yes.
that?
Yes.
Yeah. So, but he trained a lot of double sticks in his days. Well, he started doing that. Everything kind of came back, you know, and and that's just one of the effects of that is that will um, bring everything back, and it's just amazing stuff, right? Totally
It
amazing.
is.
Yeah,
It is. And it's just one more of those reasons that it's making life better and we don't even know it. And it's fun.
it is fun.
Um, Double stick.
The cool factor is there.
The cool factor is always there, especially with the collie,
Yeah.
and with the Silat and all those different things. I really enjoy the Majapahit as well, where those things kind of cross together.
Yeah. Boy, I tell you, this is a great journey for me. I started back in 78 when I first started. And then I started checking out different martial arts, and I kind of settled,
Hmm.
with the Kali and Silat and Muay Thai, and the Jun Fan. Not much BJJ much anymore. I used to do a lot of BJJ. I used to travel to Chicago with my buddy, and learn LCCT with
Yes.
yep. With Luis Claudio. I don't know if you heard of
Hmm.
Luis Claudio.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. His pressure is amazing, and he's not a large man.
He's a little
Amazing.
guy, and he does absolutes with some of these 200 pounders, and he'd win.
Yes, sir.
So, um, so you know, I had a great time doing that, but my knees are giving out right now. It's not, it's not as good as it used to be.
I
I having to have a hard time working my lakas even right now. So
really.
yeah, so I'm trying to get those checked out, and hopefully I can get that back to into shape so I can start working my lakas again. So
Body's always changing, sir. Always changing.
yeah,
I'm glad you brought it. I think that was a story, if I remember correctly. There was the gentleman had come up to Gurena Santo and told him that the double stick helped, and then he could remember his wife's name. And
yeah.
that's Gurena Sano is such a wonderful human being, and he can be touched. And I just that moment there had to be something beautiful.
Yeah, I remember first time because I was asking him a technique, and he went like he put his hand on me. I go, holy moly, he's got heavy hands, but he barely touched me. Went like that, and I go, this guy is special. This guy is special. So if you've
Yes,
never
sir.
really had your hands on him, um, it's a sight to behold, man. You just feel the awesomeness of this guy. So
Sir, I got to touch hands with him just a few times, but I always think to myself, at the end of touching hands with Guru Dan, that the concept of soft as soft as cotton, hard as steel,
Sure. Yeah.
all of a sudden makes sense. Before that, it kind of makes sense and you kind of get it, but then you touch with Guru for just a minute,
Yeah.
and you're like, oh, that's that definition thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the same as Sifu Francis Fong. Have you ever
No, sir.
trained with me? No. Oh
One
boy.
time I got to
Yeah.
train with him, but not necessarily touch hands.
Right. Yeah. So that's Chisao. Boy, I mean, I've done a lot of Chisao in my days, right, with lots of people. But you touch this guy, he goes, "Oh, yeah, he knows what he's doing. He knows what he's doing."
Yes, amazing. And for those that don't know what Chisao is, it's literally what they call a sensitivity exercise. So you're learning to respond to pressure and find
Right.
holes in someone's game.
Right.
And there's a whole drill, and those that specialize in it, oh my gosh, you can't touch them. You
Right.
can't touch them at all.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
one
It's
time,
basically it's a drill where lack understanding pressure, lack of pressure,
yeah,
and the whole idea is to feel if they're going out, up, down, left, or right, and once you understand that, then you have to yep, there you go.
there you go. That's
Yep.
the shape. Yeah, you got Tansao and Fuxao, about Fuxao and Bonsao there.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Now, I've trained with different instructors over
Hmm.
the years on Chisao, and basically, when usually a couple of instructors say, "Okay, let's go Chisao," I go, "Hey, show me how to set it up and how to go in." He goes, "Well, if you can't do this right, don't even bother, right? Your form has to be, the structure has to be there. Otherwise, I don't need to set it up. I'm just going to come in and hit you." So from that moment on, I couldn't understand that. Oh yeah, you really got to work that good structure to get that so that's perfect before you're trying to go in and set up things and things like that. So
Yes, sir. That's a lesson as to, well, why did they start off with this form, right? I really like what Guru Rick says about JKD sometimes, is sometimes uh, when we're cherry picking the things we want to take,
yes,
sometimes we're not doing a service necessarily, and sometimes we can't get what it is that we're really looking for, which is that other side of the list, which is more.
yeah, yeah. Being an instructor, you sometimes you need, I kind of learned pretty much everything because
Hmm.
an instructor you should. As a student, I can just cherry pick whatever that interests you,
Yes.
right? But as instructors, we pretty much have to go where we're least comfortable, you know, and learn as much as we can, and pass on as much information as you can on that certain topic, right? So that's why for me, I learned from a lot of instructors, right?
Hmm.
Larry Hartsoe, Eric Paulson, uh, all these great people, give me ideas on what to teach and stuff. So I'm doing Peter Kwong martial arts, not anybody else's, right? And you're teaching Jamie Sparling martial arts, right?
Well, it's the only thing that I can really honestly say I know.
Yeah, there you
Honestly,
go.
right? I mean, as far as that's concerned, with Affinity Martial Arts, we just put finishing touches on a new program that we're calling AIM, and that's going to be our white to black belt curriculum, and it's
Oh,
Affinity Integrated Martial Arts.
okay.
And the reason is that I never felt comfortable doing belts because I never learned in a belt ranking system until I did other systems later. So now I feel more comfortable, and also by putting aim on it, I can hold myself accountable, right? But also be honest with my students. That's the only thing I can give you is what I have, right?
Oh,
And
so
maybe,
so yeah. So now you're gonna have belt systems, right?
yeah,
With
yeah,
all the students.
yeah.
Ah, okay.
That's what we're shooting for right now, and we're going to use something like an ICOT, sir.
Oh, okay.
So that's
Different
and then
color ECOT.
yeah, or a variation of. and then also kind of we let our teenagers come and train with the adults. After a while, it's great for their confidence, but so the teenagers will still wear their belts that are solid colored because they started in the Little Dragons program, and the adults will have colored icots in the AIM program that eventually, as you know so well, there he is. There's one of my little guys right there. We took him to go meet Guru Inasano. He was one of the little kiddos that went over there and said hello.
Oh.
Yeah, and I can still ask him because we talk about Bruce Lee and we point up, and I said, "Well, who knew Bruce Lee?" And he'll always stick his hand up and say Guru Inasano. It's the cutest thing ever. It's
So,
amazing.
yeah. So let me ask you this: how old is your kids program?
Kids right around 4
4.
to
Okay.
12. Around 12, I try to transition them.
Okay, same
You
same as me
know,
then. Yeah, 4 to 12.
yeah, I think that's the best thing to do because they're coming into that new body, right? And to then also to build confidence to be in with the older kids. I mean, there you go. See, they're trying to kill me. They're all dressed up like Pillsbury or Doughboy. You know what I mean? And just coming at me. And it
So
is the
you're doing sparring too. We haven't done that yet, but I was thinking of doing sparring with these guys.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
Huh.
I only let them spar with me, sir.
Yeah.
And every once in a while, I will, if I have a guest or somebody like that. Um, but as far as that's concerned, and you got to watch it too, because when you do, well, in my experience, more sparring, then people stick with what they feel more comfortable with. If they got distance, it'll be a side kick all day long. Right,
Right.
but we want to follow up with our hands and the distance management and all that. So we do sparring, but for the most part, they spar with me or another coach, and that makes me feel more comfortable, just for me.
You give me some good ideas, so I'm gonna have to, try to get some spar pads and stuff, and have them do that. I think. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a
it's
good
fun.
idea.
It's fun, especially like during a learning cycle when they might have a new tool,
Okay.
and then let them take it out so that they can perform with that new tool, whether it's a combination or something. Um,
Hmm.
if I do it too much, I find people stay in their comfort zone because it becomes more like a sport mentality. So they want to
Sure.
win, right? And so
Right.
they have the straight right hand, side kick. Um,
Okay.
but that's how it's worked for us so far. I appreciate that because every time I'm around you, I learn something, sir.
Oh,
Absolutely, every time. Sometimes the way you move, whatever that is. Sometimes it's how to teach.
sure.
To be able to explain something. So I really appreciate that. Mr. Frischman, Mr. Michael Frischman, one of your students, has been
Yeah.
coming and spending time with us. And what a guy and such a genuine heart. I
Isn't
saw
he a sweetheart?
he is without a doubt. And he kind of scared the hell out of me from across the room for a few years. And I don't know why. Now I call him Unc, like Uncle, right? Because he's
Yeah.
just always so open. I see that he got promoted the other day.
He got promoted because there is nobody that you know there's nobody like him around.
Yes, sir.
He is the most genuine guy that I know, and he helps people left and right. Anybody that comes in, he's right on top of it. And I go, you know what? He is an epitome of a great instructor, and I promoted him right there. So he
That's
deserved it.
amazing. Amazing. He gives from here.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, there he is, Mr. Michael
Ah.
Fishman. Yeah, he might actually just give me the business because he doesn't like anybody to talk good about him. And now we're on like video camera talking good about him, Guro Peter.
You
So
should interview this guy. He's got so much stories and very amazing law enforcement. He's just
yes,
he's got a ton of stories. He's a great he's great to talk to.
he is, and he's on my list. He's on my list, and let me tell you, he appreciates you, his journey with you, and you are talked about quite often when he is over at Affinity and and elsewhere. At one point, I want to get a picture of you in a Silat and if your Silat garb and sign it. We're going to put it up on the wall. That would be super cool, and really appreciate you coming in and talking with us today.
Well, it's my absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for inviting me. I had a good time. Yeah.
Me too. Me too. From the Green Rumors new network in the dojo, we're going to sign off, and we'll see you next time with the man, Avi Klein, doing the Ryan Klein thing all day long in the dojo. Peter Kwong, Silat Master. I'm going to use the word master, okay? I understand that, okay? But one of the things that when I tell my kiddos, you could see a master of basket weaving, and you should walk away with a different appreciation for the basket that is on your grandma's kitchen table. Okay?
I love it.
That, it's just a place that you grab your fruit, you know?
I love it.
So I do think you're a master. I really appreciate having you on. You take care. We're going to talk soon. And Jamie Sparling, Peter Kwong from the dojo, we are out.
Take care, everyone.